Hey folks, make sure to stay up to date on all the latest episodes by following us at Git Rec'd Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Or if you have any recommendations you'd like to hear us review on the show, you can contact us directly via email. Or, I don't know, maybe you just want to send us some feet pics. You creep. I don't know what you're into. I don't care. We'll review those too. What do you think of that, huh? In any case, all your requests, feedback, and general criticism of the straight white patriarchy can be sent to gitrec'dpod@gmail.com. That's gitrec'dpod@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
So with the Seven Dust concert, it's the 21st anniversary of one of their albums, of their third album called Animosity. Mm-hmm. And which one made me feel really old because I was listening to that album in high school. But also, when we went there, we found out that there were 3 bands that were playing before them. And I'm thinking, these guys, Seven Dust, are going to play their entire album. How long are we going to be here?
Yeah.
But there was one band called Plush, and it was a South African all-female rock band.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty cool.
That sounds cool.
It was pretty cool. They did a cover of Barracuda, and the singer, nailed it. She did awesome. So I'm going to have to look into their stuff. But yeah, the show was wild. It had been a while since I've been to a concert, many years before COVID. Was the last concert. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
You know what it was? I think it was the Gin Blossoms and Spin Doctors.
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when you guys were going to that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But there was this guy. So we were actually in front of the mosh pit, and the demographic of the people who are there are not early 20s, are not teenagers. It's maybe late 20s and up. There were old ladies with white hair and and hippie jewelry that were rocking out with the little devil horn hands. It was cool to see.
Yeah,
because it's just a whole bunch of older people, but there's still the mosh pit that's happening in the back. And when the people would inevitably hit somebody who's not in a mosh pit, there happened to be one guy who was in a John Deere trucker hat who was just trying to watch the show.
I just came to see this damn Seven Dust. What the hell is this?
And this guy gets shoved because some guy gets pushed into him from the mosh pit. He turns around and just fucking punches him right in the face.
Yeah.
And then the whole crowd starts pointing at the guy who was in the mosh pit, and because then that guy started getting angry that he was just punched in the face, but everybody started pointing at him, and so then security took him out. And then there was one guy who was standing, he walked in front of Patrick and I. Again, he's probably in his 50s, at least. He's got the salt and pepper hair kind of look and some gray in his beard, and he's wearing a salmon colored polo, and right in front of us, he just takes off his shirt.
Yes, I love that.
And just tries to start a mosh pit, and this guy's drunk off of his ass.
Dude, is there anything sadder than a 50-year-old man in a salmon polo trying to start a mosh pit?
Nobody was having it. Nobody around. People just started violently pushing him. And he, of course, was...
It's as soon as you see it, you're oh, somebody's divorced.
Yeah.
Somebody's been divorced at least once. Yeah. Another edition of Git Rec'd Podcast, where two buds take turns recommending some of their favorite pop culture hits, hidden gems, and oddities.
That's right, and a couple of deep cuts.
I'm, of course, your host, Thor, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Micah. How you doing today, Micah?
I'm good, man. How you doing? Hanging in there?
Good. I'm excited.
Yeah?
We're talking about... This one's going to be a fun one. We are talking about the Tinder Swindler.
What a documentary that was.
Yes. As always, a big spoiler alert ahead. The Tinder Swindler, a Netflix original documentary, can be found on Netflix. Initial thoughts. Let's start with that.
Initial thoughts. So my initial thoughts on it, I again, any of these recommendations, I try to go in blind. So I didn't really watch anything. Somebody had told me previously that it was a wild documentary. That's really all I knew about. Context clues, I figured it had to do with Tinder, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So initially, I was thinking that this dude is really clever. Like, I was almost impressed.
I mean, he kind of
with everything that he was doing. It was absolutely wild.
Yeah, no,
and wrong morally.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I feel like
I couldn't help but be impressed.
Yeah, no, I feel like I need to preface the guy in question, Simon Leviev, as he changed his name to. I guess that's the name he's still going by.
Sure, yeah.
A bad dude.
Absolutely.
This guy's a bad guy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say some pretty complimentary things about him throughout the course of this. Because, yeah, it is... You got to give him credit.
Right. It was clever. It was clever. Horrible, but clever. Yeah. So the basic gist was... I don't remember any of the names for any of these interviews or anything. But there was one woman that met him on Tinder. And... I guess she had like a list of things that she liked in profiles that she swiped right on. Do you swipe right on Tinder?
I think you swipe left.
You swipe left?
No good.
Okay.
Left is no good. Right is a winner.
We're both married men and
we have never Tindered.
We have never Tindered. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't plan to anytime soon. So yeah, anyway, she has like a list of things that she likes to see. Confidence, money, good looks, intriguing lifestyles, all this good stuff. And I guess this guy had everything that she wanted.
Yeah, so the first one, same thing. I don't remember the names, but the first girl, she was from Norway. She was Norwegian.
Yeah.
Living in England. And he's like, yeah, meet me at this 5-star hotel. So he takes her out, wines her and dines her.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then after the first date, he's like, hey, do you want to get in my private plane?
Right.
And take a trip to, wherever they went, some other country, just jet setting around Europe.
Yeah. They go to a beach or something like that. Or was it a boat or a yacht or something?
I think they went to a hotel.
Another 5-star hotel type of thing.
Yeah.
The amount of money that he spent probably on that night alone.
It has to be. Yeah. Well, and altogether, it has to be millions.
Oh, yeah. So he takes her out on this date. And they have a good time. He's very nice, empathetic, attractive, charming.
Yeah, I loved how they did that with this documentary. Is the whole first 20, 30 minutes of it is this first girl describing her experience of meeting him, and the whole time they're playing with your emotions. They're playing the score that it's behind it is like a Disney fairy tale type of music they're playing as she's falling in love with him. And they're really kind of showing you how this girl ended up, taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Right.
For this guy is because he really made her think he was in love with her.
Yeah. So this guy is the Tinder swindler. And we start out with just this single woman, and you hear it from her point of view, and you hear that he is the son of a diamond company owner where they go out and get diamonds and sell them, and that he has to travel a lot for work. So he set the scene really, really well with his conversations with her, and gave very, very good excuses as to why he wasn't local and why he needed to fly around a lot and why he wasn't available all the time. Then he backs it up by having this crazy night out where he pays for everything, has a private jet, goes to another 5-star hotel, spends probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in that night with her alone. Then starts saying how much he loves her, and I think at one point he was even having her go to look at apartments. Yeah.
I love all his messages. They show all his messages. Hello, baby. And they play his voice messages.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. Hello, baby. I love you. Good morning, my love. Hello, baby. He's always just...
Yeah. Was he Italian? What was his ethnicity?
He's from Israel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's Israeli.
Okay. So he's Israeli. And then he's got another guy who's with him all the time, who's his bodyguard.
His like bodyguard. And on this first flight, he takes this girl and he's like, "This is the mother of my child.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
still close." And that gets, because you end up finding out later on, this was one of the women he had originally swindled.
Yeah.
What's her story? You never get any.
Right.
Like,
well, and yeah, so that's actually another thing too. So it's the first night that they meet, and then they get on the plane, and so yeah, this woman that he has taken on the date for the first time meets this other woman who's the mother of his kid. And this woman, who's the mother of his kid, starts saying how great of a guy he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's still financially supporting both of them. Like, she's in on it, as it turns out. But even, like, that had to have been orchestrated to get her to feel comfortable with the situation, to kind of put her guard down, or to at least open her mind up to just the characteristics of what they wanted her to see.
Yeah, this guy's good. And there is one part, though, where I do lose... I mean, there's a few parts where I tend to lose sympathy, because I get they really... he's a bad dude.
Right.
He is, admittedly.
Yes.
And he toyed with people's, emotions and need for love.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a certain point where she's like... Where after they had been, quote-unquote dating for a while, she was like, she looks on his Tinder profile and it's still active and there's new pictures, and she's like, she confronts him about it. He's like, "No, I deleted it. Let's move in together," basically. But like, here's the thing.
Good deflection.
She's a good enough looking girll.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
She's very pretty.
Very attractive.
Yeah.
But even assuming that he is, if this story was totally legit, that he really was a billionaire, son of a diamond billionaire jet setting around.
Yeah.
How foolish are you that you think you're his only girlfriend? Because why would he settle down? You know what I mean? Because she's just like, you know what I mean? She has a career or something, but she's not,
right. Well,
she's not an heiress or a millionaire. She's just a regular person working a regular job. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But you have to be crazy to think somebody with billions of dollars who's jet setting around is going to say, "Yeah, you're my one and only person." Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works as far as convincing somebody. I've never done that. I've never done the whole swindling thing.
Do you kind of want to now? I would kind of like to try my hand at it.
The shadow self. Oh, yeah. Yeah. the shadow self of me would be like, yeah, let's see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'd never pursue it. Because there are times where I feel like, man, it would be really nice to just like have a night to myself. Not to go out and meet chicks, just literally a night to myself alone with no wife, no kid, no dog, just like alone and desolate in a room.
You're gonna swindle your own wife so you can go spend a night in a hotel by yourself watching Batman movies.
Yep. But then when that happens and my wife is like, I'm gonna take Freya and the dog to my mom's for the night, I'm bored.
Yeah,
I hate it. Like, I'm good for an hour. And then I'm like,
I could get on Tinder and swindle some bitches.
What a quote. I want that on a t-shirt. I could get on Tinder and swindle some bitches. Yeah, so he does this really good job of just giving this and they did. They kept kind of referring to it as this Prince Charming, like, fairy tale type of thing.
Yeah, she even had him in his phone with like a little prince emoji.
Yeah.
She was really in love with this guy.
Mm-hmm. And he's a good looking guy. And I guess I can see it from...
he's a little cutie, of course.
Yeah, so I guess I can see it from their point of view too, where it's an attractive guy. He's clearly wealthy, at least from their point of view. Mm-hmm. So he's young, attractive, super wealthy, and appears to be very, very, very into them.
Yeah.
Like, that is a match made in heaven. That is very, very rare for you to get all of that. Yeah. And so I could see somebody who has that, at least from their perspective, being more willing to be a little bit naive to it, and also be a little bit more willing to put up with all the shit that she ended up putting up with.
Yeah, because then it gets dark, and this And I love that he just sent he had this story planned out. He knows it works. Starts sending them pictures. I got attacked. I got to go on the run.
Right.
All my bank accounts are locked out.
Yeah. Well, it's because he is in these countries, these third world countries, getting diamonds, and like the local, I don't know, cartel gangs.
Yeah. The diamond industry is dangerous.
Is dangerous. Yeah. So, and he plants that seed very, very early. Yeah. In the conversation. So he sends this picture with saying, I got attacked. And it's a picture of his bodyguard and his head is like busted open and bleeding. And saying that the bodyguard protected him. And
yep. And then he even has a video where they're in an ambulance. They rented an ambulance to make this fake video. Yeah. Or maybe it was real at one point. You know what I mean? And
right. What a guy. Maybe, what if the ambulance ride, him recording it, what if that was the catalyst? What if after the ambulance, they were like, you know what? You're fine. We've got this video. Maybe we could like do some stuff with this.
No, because I think because he had originally started, and I think they said another European. There's so many European countries. It's like, just become one country, make it easier for all of us. But in one of the European countries,
right? Just call yourself Texas too.
Like where he had started, kind of like swindling women. Yeah. Initially, he was telling them he's arms dealers. This guy's a forger. Right. He has all kinds of different fake passports and driver's license.
Yeah.
And so that's where he had originally went to jail for, I think they said like a year or two. And they suspect that's where he, probably just picked up more tricks. Yeah. And came out ready to really start living large.
Yeah. So he then, he acted like he was on the run. He said that he couldn't access any of his money because he was on the run, and they, like, the corrupt governments or the cartel were watching his credit card activity.
Yeah.
And so then he starts requesting money from her so that he can, like, get out of the country type of thing.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, flash to this other girl.
Right.
The other girl, she's from,
some other European country.
Sweden, I believe.
Was it? Yeah.
I think Sweden. I could have that wrong. And so meanwhile, he's taking her out. All this money that she's sending him is being spent while they're in like Mykonos. They're in like Greece at these wild parties, driving around in Ferraris, staying at a 5-star hotel, living the life.
Yeah, I think that they referred to it in the documentary as like a Ponzi scheme almost.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like a reverse Ponzi scheme. Because normally you pay in and eventually you get the profit. But these girls were getting the profit right away. And then they had to pay in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, because everything was great up front.
Yeah.
And with the second girl.
Classic reverse Ponzi, a CRP.
Yeah. That's how he got away with it. Everyone expects a Ponzi scheme. No one expects a reverse Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
But with the second woman, it wasn't even a romantic thing. It was more like close.
I really like her because she refuses to admit, and who knows how true it is. She's like, we were never together. He was just my friend.
Yeah.
He was just your friend.
You think maybe not? Maybe she didn't want to feel like an idiot in front of the camera. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. I'm willing to believe she never thought they were actually like together.
Okay.
I could buy that.
Gotcha. Maybe it was more of a fling type of thing.
You were more than friends. What I mean? That was definitely a friends with benefits situation.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did it come to, I forget what exactly happened that made the women realize that something was amiss or that something was wrong. Obviously, it was the money that wasn't getting returned.
The Norwegian girl, the one we start the movie with, essentially she's like, after, about 2 months, she's taken out like $250,000 in loans for this guy.
Right.
She's like, I need the money. And so he meets her one last time. And because at this point, things have gotten dark. He's constantly demanding money for her.
Right.
And she's like, I'm just scared. I don't know what's going on. And then he cuts her a check. He writes a check for her. And she tries to cash it.
Oh, that's right. And it doesn't work.
And the bank is like, there's no money here. It's not a check. Yeah. So at this point, she's like, screwed. She's like, I have nothing I can do. So she calls like American Express. and explains what happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll send somebody out.
Oh, that's right. And they had an
and
investigator.
she thinks they're coming to like arrest her because she lied, you know, because he printed out fake earnings reports, fake pay stubs from his fake Leviev diamond company.
That's right. And wasn't
saying that she made more money so she could have a larger...
Oh, that's right.
A larger like maximum credit limit.
Yeah. Man, that's devious.
Yeah. And so when these people show up, she explains it all to them, shows them a picture, and they look at it and immediately go...
They recognize him.
That's the guy. And they tell her he's been doing this. And then somehow... So she goes to like a big newspaper company. Huh. And they pull the records for the plane tickets. Because, you know, he's taking these women, he's flying them on planes. So they have the names of the people the tickets were bought for. And they end up getting in touch with the girl who we're going to say is Swedish. I believe that's how it went. But essentially, they end up getting in contact. And then that's when the news people start really tracking this guy down and figuring out he's from Israel. He's currently wanted. He started out, he was the son of a rabbi. You know, very humble beginnings. That's right.
I remember too that. Well, did they talk to? Because he was saying that this other guy, the father, his supposed father, the person who ran this company.
Yeah.
Did they contact him?
I don't think they directly contacted him, but after I guess some digging, they realized this guy doesn't even have a son.
Okay.
And the picture that he showed, you know, the picture that was on his social media post was a picture of him and his father and mother.
Right.
He had just photoshopped himself into a picture of that guy that existed.
Wow. I don't remember that. Wow.
Because this guy had the foresight to be like, if I'm telling people I am this guy, they're going to Google me and look into me.
Yeah.
So he had fake articles written. He had fake pictures photoshopped with himself and this guy who is a real person.
Just the amount of money.
Good.
Yeah, the amount of money that he would probably have had to spend to build the backstory and fabricate it online. I can tell you that photoshopping somebody into a photo, just from experience, that is not an easy thing to do well. Because there's a plethora of different things that you have to consider when you're putting somebody into a picture.
And it's even specifically the picture was like the sun. I even took note of that.
Yeah.
Because the sun is coming from a specific area. So he made sure he was lighted the same way as the people in that picture.
Yeah, you've got to get the lighting correct. I don't remember, were they interacting at all? Like, was he in front of them?
I think he was just standing in front of them.
Okay. Yeah, it was because then his shadows have to match. And like not only the light source, like not the direction of, not just that, but also the temperature of the light. You know, if you look at a cloudy day versus a sunny day and you take a picture in those, it's going to feel very, very different. So like that's just, and even multiple, like depending on the camera, it's going to take pictures differently. So a lot of those edits, he had to pay somebody who knew how to use Photoshop to do that. That's not just like I'll just plot myself in here and make it look believable. It's not that easy.
Yeah, he put in his time.
Yeah.
You got to give him credit. He put in his time. He set this thing up. And I mean, who knows how many people he did this to?
Yeah.
This guy, I got to give him props. Like, he's the worst, but he's the best at being the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they got pretty far with the investigation, but then he started, I don't know, he was able to evade them. He was able to invade.
Yeah. Well, they were following him because the second girl, gets to the same scenario. She's like, I've taken out all this money. You gotta help me out here.
Yeah.
And at this point, she already knew what was going on with them. So she was acting. She was just, they were trying to set him up.
She was undercover.
He was going to give her a watch that's worth, a Rolex worth, a couple $100,000.
Right.
Which was fake. He did give it to her, was fake. But while they were coming out of the building, he spotted them. He spotted the photographers were like hiding in like a parking garage, and he spotted them, got freaked out. But essentially, so they write an article. This, it's a big Norwegian newspaper. They write an article. It goes pretty viral.
Yeah.
And then the third girl we meet, she's my favorite. She's the best.
Yeah, because she's sassy.
Because she's
clever.
getting on a plane and she sees this article right as she's about to take off.
Yeah.
And so the whole time she's flying to meet him and she's reading this article about all the stuff he's been doing.
Yeah.
And I like her because essentially what happens then is he can't get on Tinder anymore because it's kind of going viral. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows his name, knows his face, so he can't really use Tinder anymore.
Right.
So he ends up like stranded and broke. And this chick doesn't let him, she lets him believe, oh, she's so badass. She lets him believe that she believes him.
Right. And still loves him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I work in the fashion industry. You have all these nice clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me sell them for you.
Yeah.
Because she's going to swindle him.
That's right.
And she's the one, she says, I'm going to swindle the Tinder Swindler.
Yeah, so she did too. She's I mean, it wasn't nearly what she took out in loans for him, but
because he ends up living in hostels and
right.
being like super poor. And I love this kind of arc of the story because there's a couple really neat things. There's one part where she recounts, you know, because he's playing it off to her like, no, these are my enemies. They're my enemies doing this to me. That's always this thing. It's my enemies, these shadowy enemies coming against him. And she's just like, oh yeah, totally. You're enemies. I hate enemies are the worst.
Right.
You know? But they go to like a plastic surgeon because he wants to get plastic surgery done on his face and stuff. And the plastics, she recounts the story that the doctor essentially says, no, I won't do this surgery because this is the surgery that criminals get.
Yeah.
And she's like, I had to stop myself from laughing. And he's sitting there crying like a little baby because he can't get his surgery. I'm like, dude, she's... and then so she like gets all his clothes from him and she's like, I'm gonna go sell them for you.
Yeah.
And then weeks go by and he just keeps, hey, have you sold anything yet? And she's like, no, haven't sold them yet. And then this is where you get to see how really fucked up he is. Once he realizes that she's screwing him over, he starts sending her some horrific messages.
Yeah.
I love this part. Like he goes nuts. He's so crazy. He's like they have these 20-minute voicemails of him being like, oh, you fuck with me, I fucking kill you. You want to go with war with me? I will take down you, your whole family. Baby, come on. I love you. I love you, baby. I'm sorry. I'm just mad. I don't know what's going on. But you get me that money or I fucking kill you. I fucking come after you. I hate you. I'm sorry. I was too mad on that. I'm too mad. I'm sorry. I'm geared up. But I will kill. It's just...
He was so desperate.
Back and forth. Going crazy.
Yeah. What a guy.
Dude. And I love that girl too. She recounts, so the last time she saw him, he wrote her like this handwritten letter.
Yeah.
And she reads it, you know, she goes down through, you know, baby, I love you. Thank you for standing by me. You mean so much to me. And she reads it all the letter and she's like, piece of shit. She's so cool.
Yeah. So what was it that they eventually got him on? It was like a fake passport, wasn't it? Or something?
He was wanted in Israel for fraud. Some kind like check fraud or some kind of fraud.
Okay.
And so they caught him and he went to jail for like 18 months.
Right.
In Israel, but then they let him go. He's never been charged for the crimes. And now he's legitimately making money.
Right, as like a business consultant. Yeah, that's the craziest thing about
And he's back driving Ferraris.
Yeah.
Dating
supermodels.
Perfect 10s from Europe. Like, that's this dude.
That's the thing that I think is the craziest thing about it. Like, did he do anything illegal?
I guess technically not.
I don't think that he did.
No.
Morally wrong, yes. But he asked for money. They took everything out in their own name and gave him the money.
Once again, I got to preface by saying he's a bad guy.
Absolutely.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
But look, you got this kid, you know, a lower class upbringing, the son of a rabbi from Israel.
Yeah.
And he thought to himself growing up, you know, one day I want to grow up and I want to wear the finest designer clothes, jet set around the world, just dumping clips in the hottest European girls I can find at every different city. He made it happen. You got to give him credit. The guy's a real go-getter.
Absolutely. Yeah, his motivation and his gumption. And yeah, sure. He certainly is. But the sheer fact that there was nothing that they could pin on him about any of the fraud that he did is just nuts to me. And I think
everything he did with permission.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's the craziest thing about it too, is like, yeah, this guy's a jerk.
Well, here's the thing, is he hopped around city to city, country to country, doing things here, there. You know what I mean? So, although, yeah, what he did is shitty, I'm assuming it's probably pretty hard to, because everybody gave him permission. And also, you're talking about multiple different countries. And they're all going to work together to catch this guy who scammed some girls out of some money. Like, if you add it all up, yeah, it's tons of money.
Yeah.
But individually, $200,000 is
nothing.
A lot of money.
Right, for us,
That's a lot of money for a person.
Yeah.
But for the government, they're
yeah, it's nothing.
We're trying to catch ISIS and shit. Like, sorry, it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just crazy to me about the whole thing. I feel like, I don't know. And what happens with these women, all right? Do they need to, they still got to pay all that stuff off, I'm guessing.
They got to pay off the debts, yeah.
Like American Express came to them and they're like, we'll help you find the guy. You still owe us the money, but we'll help you find the guy.
Yeah.
And
the one girl, the Norwegian, she makes a good point. She got called out for being a gold digger and stuff like that. And she's like, how am I a gold digger? I was giving him money.
Yeah.
I was helping him. That's kind of true. But it was also transactional. Like her assumption was it's going to come back tenfold to me.
Right.
Because here's the thing. All these girls who pulled out hundreds, thousands of dollars to give to him, they didn't think he was working the fry station at Arby's. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If he came and was wearing his apron and just got off his shift at Arby's, are you going to pull out a couple $100,000 for that guy to keep him safe?
No. Yeah. I mean, definitely not. But no. I also think that they, at least I think with the first girl, didn't he pay her back and then some for like the first thing that he borrowed or the first amount of money?
Oh, that is true. Yeah, you're right. You are correct. He did.
So again, smart move on his part.
Small amount, like $2,000,
yeah,
or something like that.
Smart move on his part because he's establishing a pattern, and so sure, I can borrow 10,000 here, 10,000 here, 50,000 here because he's got the money. He just can't access it right now. He's already paid me once before. He'll pay me again. That mixed with the fact that she loved him, mixed with the fact that like she was looking for an apartment with him in air quotes. I mean, he never went, right? But he's like, go find a place. This is your budget.
Yeah, this is where we're going to live.
Yeah.
And we're going to spend our lives together.
Like, it's complete mind manipulation.
Yeah.
And strategically, it was very, very well done. It's really shitty and a horrible thing to do. So I watched a little of this with Ashley, and the first thing that she said, why is he contacting her instead of his rich father? And I thought, that's a good question. Like, she said if she were to be in that situation, that's the first thing that she would ask him. Especially because from her point of view, her being the victim, like the Norwegian woman, like he knows that she doesn't have money, but his dad does. Like his dad has access to money. So why wasn't he contacting the father at all? And I thought that's a good question.
Yeah, no,
that's a good question.
Like I said, I think it really is. And that's probably some of the legality stuff too, is like these girls are victims of not only him, but kind of themselves and kind of this idyllic fairy tale romance of being swept off your feet by a rich guy who's so sweet and so nice, who just finds himself in a predicament.
Yeah.
It is tough. I swing back and forth where I'm like, man, I feel really bad for them, but sometimes I'm like, come on.
Right, yeah.
Come on. Like,
I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
And it was transactional. Like, at a certain point, you have to say, like, yeah, a little bit was transactional. It's like, you gave this guy money, but you kind of expected to get something back, too.
Right. It's just a bonkers story. It's just a totally bonkers story.
It's pretty wild, yeah.
And I love that they tried to contact him about the like an interview him with it, And he's like, if you release this, I will come after you.
Yeah.
And that's all they gave.
Yeah, he sent a voice memo.
Yeah.
This guy loves voice memos. He ain't got time to text. All of his fingers are inside just different women from across the continent of Europe. He ain't got time to text, but too far, sorry. But yeah, he sent a voice memo. Like, okay, if you proceed with this documentary, you'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Yeah. I wonder if that happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna jam you up, Netflix. Come on.
Right. Who knows? But it's gotta suck for the victims too, to know that he is out there. He had some kind of comeuppance, but not really.
Yeah. Well, and now, like I said, I think now he's probably making money legitimately.
Yeah. I think he's better off now.
Yeah.
I mean,
because let's face it. I mean, if you are the star of a successful Netflix documentary, people just want to be near you and prop you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's say that you had a business and you could afford whatever his fees are, because I'll bet his fees are fucking outrageous.
Oh yeah.
So like, would you take him up on it? Would you pay for his services?
No, from a business perspective, no. There's probably better people.
Yeah.
But if I decided like, if my business was based on being shady, if I'm like, I'm going to pretend my business is this, but really I'm doing some shady shit on the side, then yes.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can get that.
This guy's an evil genius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's kind of what I wonder. Like, there's a thing about companies where some companies are really good and they really care about their employees and they care about doing the right thing and they do X, Y, and Z.
Well,
and then they
don't though.
I think
that's all kind of like a gimmick.
I think smaller companies do.
Okay,
like
that's
small,
fair.
certainly not like the massive fucking corporations.
Yeah, corporations don't, and they're not supposed to.
Right.
Bottom line, they're not supposed to.
At that point, they're there to make money, right? So loopholes are just a way to make money. Like, it's all fair game at that point. So morally questionable acts or morally gray acts, I don't think that they really matter in those scenarios. Like, okay, you did these bad things. You went to jail, but you got a lot of good info. So how about we pay you for that?
Yeah.
Again, that's another thing where...
Well, it's like, I mean, this guy, did you ever watch, you had to have seen it, Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
With Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks, right? Mm-hmm. Is Tom Hanks the guy chasing him?
Yeah.
Well, I love that movie. And that's also based on a real story. And I think they said one of the things he pretended to be a pilot. Mm-hmm. I think this guy watched that movie and was like, I want to do this.
I could do this.
You know what I mean? It seems like it. He's very much done kind of the same thing. The point I was making, though, is that guy, they let him out of prison to help the FBI to catch people doing the stuff that he was doing.
Right.
That guy truly, reformed. I don't know if he reformed, but he's like, well,
they're paying me to do it.
I'd rather work for the FBI catching other people and not be in jail, because jail's probably not too cool.
I would imagine it'd be a better life outside of jail. Yeah. I don't know, but I would just imagine.
But yeah, so I mean, I think the same thing applies.
You know what my favorite thing about that movie? This is not my favorite thing.
Catch Me If You Can or Tinder Swindler?
Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
Or the thing that I was most impressed with, and maybe this is just because of the actors and actresses that portrayed the characters, but when he was able to pay for a one-night event with Jennifer Garner with fake money, I was like, that almost made me want to be a con man.
No, it seems very appealing.
Right?
I think you have to be like a sociopath at some level to do stuff, because you can't have a real life. And in that movie, they highlighted he tried to marry this girl and tried to go legit, and it couldn't work out because you can't live the life of a con man and be a con man and live multiple lives.
Yeah. How many con men retire?
Does going to jail count as retiring?
No.
That's probably the only way they retire.
Because what do you do with, like, was this guy, back to Tinder Swindler, was this guy investing like 10% of his income that these women were donating to him? If I was doing it, that's what I would be doing. Like, I'd take the majority of it. That's
kind of why I love Simon Leviev a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, maybe he did,
Right.
You know, perhaps he was just squirreling away a lot of that. But it seems like he was just floating the money from the next one to the next just to keep living that life.
Just to keep that lifestyle. Yeah.
Just keep riding that ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's the type of guy who's like, the money will come. I'll find a way.
Right.
I'll get there. So he probably doesn't, you know, probably wasn't even thinking of that.
But your good looks only last so long, right? Eventually you're going to age, and it's going to be harder to do what you're, at least in his scenario, it'd be harder to do what he was doing. Granted,
I don't think so, though.
If women think that he's super filthy rich and he like stays in shape,
Mick Jagger just had another kid. He's like 100 almost, and he just had a kid a couple years ago. Now, granted, that's a little bit different because you know the fame involved with him, but still, like,
I guess if you're a good-looking guy,
if you're rich, if you're like a billionaire, which he's not, but he is pretending you know, has been pretending to be for years, you're not going to have any trouble finding.
I guess
the looks are much less important.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just, to me, I feel like at some point you gotta get something a little bit more stable. But maybe it was stable. Like, I mean, clearly, how long did it say how long he was doing it?
No, I mean, because there's really, and you know, how would they would have to track down everybody he did it to, and how many people probably aren't going to come forward, especially after seeing that documentary where it's like, here's these girls, they went to the press, they got him arrested, you know, not for the thing they did, but you know, he's still, you know, no charges for what he did to them. What hope do I have? Why would I embarrass myself by saying I'm also a victim? You know?
Yeah, I guess there's that. I don't know. That'd just be tiring. I feel like that'd be tiring to keep that up. To keep that up for...
Maybe that's part of the thrill. It's just constantly...
I guess. Like,
you know, they say do what you love. Maybe he just he just really enjoys manipulating people and
partying.
Getting away with whatever he can.
Did he enjoy manipulating or did he enjoy partying?
Probably both.
Probably both.
You know what I mean?
Oh, and also, I thought about this, but I didn't ask it earlier. You know how the first woman, the Norwegian woman, talked about how there was like a list of things that she wanted in a guy, and so she would look for those type of things.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind that this guy was doing the exact same thing. He was profiling women on Tinder, and he probably had to find the women who, one, were pretty enough that he was like, yeah, she's pretty enough that I can justify doing this, because he's not going to do it to somebody who he can't be attracted to, right? And then two, there's got to be something about the profiles that tells him, like,
if I had to guess, I would say self-sufficient, kind of independent, because all these women were women who had careers. You know, they have their own things going on. So you can't have somebody who doesn't have anything going on, who you're going to be, you know, he wants to be their whole world, but also they need to have other stuff going on. So when he's gone all of the time and only sees them once a month or so,
like they've got something to preoccupy them.
They've got something. Yeah, you know what I mean? They all kind of had that in common.
And
they were all women with careers.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that went into play versus, oh, this one's attractive. Let's see if we can make it work with this one. I'd be curious to understand what his thought process was, or see what his mindset was. I would love to have an interview.
You know, let's go on his website, see if we can give him a call, see if he'll talk to us. How much do you think that would cost for a 10-minute phone call?
Don't fucking air this Git Rec'd episode. I'll fucking kill you.
We're gonna get sued. We're gonna have enemies after us.
Yeah. If we have any like just Israeli people show up on our doorstep, I'll be aware.
I can tell an Israeli from a mile away. That's kind of the vibe I got from that. I know that wasn't the intent, but I'll know if it's an Israeli knocking at my door.
Yeah, I'll know. Well, he's probably going to be wearing button-up shirt and aviator glasses, right? Because that's a horrible stereotype. I shouldn't have said that.
I thought you meant just because that's what he wore.
Well, but, yeah, that too.
Jesus.
Yeah, man, it was a crazy documentary. It was nuts.
Yeah, it was
very, very interesting. I remember Ashley stayed up for a little bit, but she's like, this is stupid. These women are stupid. I'm going to bed.
Also, I think it's interesting that, like, men get because this guy was just catfishing. Really, it was a Ponzi scheme, but really he was catfishing.
A reverse Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, a reverse a CRP class, reverse Ponzi.
Yep.
But really, he's just catfishing these women. But as opposed to traditionally, when you think of catfishing, it's like a man is drawn in by a beautiful woman,
right?
Who then turns out to not be a beautiful woman at all.
Yeah,
and who steals his money from him. This happens all the time, and we laugh at these guys when it happens.
Right.
But these poor girls, and it was a lot of money. I think that's also part of it.
Yeah,
I'll admit that. But at the same time, like, do you know anybody who's been catfished?
One of my relatives is that lady on Facebook who has always had issues with that type of stuff. So I have a relative who's given a lot of money to some people who said that they were not.
We had a guy at one of the restaurants I used to work at. He was a young guy, he's probably like 20, and came in one day and he was telling, "Oh, dude, my girlfriend, she's so hot." He had met her online, and we're like, "Red flags, dude, red flags," because he was a nice enough guy.
Okay,
but
a little naive.
A nice enough guy, but you got a little gullible. He's the type of guy you got to aim a little bit lower. You know what I mean? He wasn't not the most attractive guy, not the best personality.
Okay,
nice enough guy. And we're like, this seems too good to be true. It's probably too good to be true. and then he's like, yeah, she lives in New York. Where she's gonna come down and see me, and then it didn't happen.
Of course not. Something came up.
And then she asked him for money. And so he took out like a couple $100 and sent it to her, like Western Unioned it to her. Sure enough, like a week later, because as soon as he told us that, we're like, dude, you're stupid. Don't do it. Yeah. You're getting catfish. She's like, no, not a chance. And then guess what? A week later, he was like,
did he say it with that confidence?
Like, yeah. He was like, no, you don't understand. It's not that. She's real. I've talked to her. I know it's, and I think, because he said he FaceTimed with her. Okay. So I believe this was, he was woman. Talking to an actual person. Sure. He was actually talking to this woman. But she never had any intention. Because like a week later, he was like, you guys were right.
Yeah, that sucks.
And we
so
all
bad.
laughed at him, as we should. You dummy.
What a thing. What a thing
Here's
to do.
the thing. With any situation like this, you got to know your own worth. You got to know your own value. And that's a harsh truth. But look. If it seems too good to be true, there's a small chance it's not.
Right.
But it probably is.
Odds are.
You keep talking. She was like, I have my whole list of things. That first girl, I have my whole list of things I like.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, everybody seems to have this this overinflated sense of self-worth.
I actually read
I need somebody who's attractive and wealthy and likes to travel and has a good sense of humor and is fun. What makes you so great that you think that you deserve that?
Totally agree. Totally agree. I read a news article that the majority of people on this earth believe that they're smarter than the average person. The majority of people I believe that they're smarter than average.
Dude, the best way I've ever I heard this quote one time. I don't know. I can't cite it. I don't know where it comes from, but it's like, no matter where I go in the world, everyone I meet seems to believe that they are an above average driver. Which this is the classic, this is the most glaringly obvious place for this. Everybody, like, anytime something happens when you're driving, you're like, what is this idiot doing?
Yeah.
Nobody ever stops and takes the time to think like, oh,
I was an idiot.
Maybe I'm the idiot. Yeah. Or maybe I'm not as good at driving or whatever it is. Maybe I'm not as high on the scale to be loved as somebody else,
Yeah.
Everybody needs to take a big pill of reality, look in the mirror, like, you suck, and just admit it, and just be happy with what you got. That was a little bit too harsh, I think, but
people need to hear it every now and then. People need to hear it. And maybe that's what he was doing. Maybe he was just prying and playing off of their self-worth.
Exactly, yeah. No.
Or their sense of self-worth, I guess I should say. Maybe he's looking at the pictures, and maybe if all of their pictures are elevated to the right selfie sticks with duck lips, then he's thinking, that's the one.
That's the one.
She thinks she's good enough for me.
Duck lips.
Yeah.
No, honestly, all those girls seem very nice. And
absolutely.
And honestly, I think that based on the 3 girls we met in the documentary, it seems like that's the type of people he went after.
Yeah.
Because they all seemed intelligent. They all seemed like they had their own career, things going on. They weren't somebody who needed
Right.
somebody to come sweep them off their feet.
Yeah, they were doing fine on their own.
You know, so it seemed like that was definitely, for whatever reason, that's who he was,
Yeah.
you know, looking for.
I would think, too, that he'd want to go after some intelligent women just so that they would be, I don't mean this to sound wrong in case anybody doesn't know how to do this type of stuff, but that can go out and get a $50,000 loan and be approved for that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if you're finding...
Oh, that's probably a good point.
If you're going after somebody and like they've got not a good job and they don't seem to be financially independent,
not good credit, anything like that,
they're not going to be able to give you money.
No use to you. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I enjoyed it. It was definitely a wild ride watching it. Again, probably something that I would never have watched on my own. Yeah.
I've heard, and I have not watched this, there's a show, it's pretty similar, like the female version of him.
Oh, okay.
Called Inventing Anna.
I've heard
also
of
on
the
Netflix.
show. Yeah.
They came out around the same time, and I heard they have a pretty similar premise. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. I have not watched it.
Yeah,
And that one's like a series.
Is that about a woman who...
It's a drama series, but it's based on...
Made like a fake pharmaceutical drug?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know anything. From what I heard, it's pretty similar to the Tinder Swindler. It's kind of like the same concept.
Gotcha.
I know what you're talking about. I don't think it's that story.
Okay.
The lady who like changed her voice and stuff. She was like a CEO and...
There was one where I guess a woman who had come up with some pharmaceutical drug that supposedly cured something. I don't know very much about it. I just know that is the gist. And so like pharmaceutical companies were paying her a lot of money to develop and research this thing. And she just wasn't doing anything with that.
Okay.
Like at all.
Yeah, I don't
and she had no intentions.
I don't think that's the story of Inventing Anna.
Okay.
I don't think so. Like I said, haven't watched it, couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I've heard that's pretty good. These types of stories are always fascinating.
Yeah.
Like a con man story is always fascinating.
Sure.
Because you picture yourself like how could I make this work? What is that like? Because it's so foreign to most of us. I would say the majority of people, you go down a traditional path of I have this goal I want to reach, and so I work for it. I take step by step by step. But con people, they're like, why would you do all those steps? Why would you do those steps? Just do this easier thing, and get the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
I think a part of the reason that these type of documentaries are so intriguing to watch too, at least for me, there's a small part, and we kind of touched on it earlier, that makes me think, I wonder how much I could get away with if I was in that scenario.
Yeah.
And it kind of lets you imagine a little bit. Not that you'd ever act on it, but it lets you imagine, I'd do X, Y, and Z, and think I could do that. It kind of gives you that sense of self-worth. Like, I'm smarter than the average person. I think I could do this too. And
same thing with cult stories.
Yeah.
It's same kind of thing. Like
or serial killer documentaries.
Yes.
And you think about how they got away with so much of it, and you think, how would I do that?
How would I do that?
How would I do that and get away with it? Again, not that I'd ever act on it, but if I was that type of like depravity level of person, I think I could get away with it if mentally I could deal with that. But I couldn't deal with that mentally, so right? I just watched the John Wayne Gacy documentary on Netflix.
I've heard it's good. I have not seen it yet.
It's good. It's disgusting.
He was
It's absolutely disgusting.
He makes Simon Leviev look like an angel.
Right. Yeah,
an
absolutely.
absolute angel.
Yeah. Well, you've got two outcomes. Like, you owe American Express $200,000, or you're in the crawl space of a house with 30 other bodies.
Yeah.
I'll take
some debt.
I'll take the debt.
I'll take some debt.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's a wild one, too. He's horrible. And I knew that he was a serial killer, right? And I was like, oh, that's the clown serial killer, right?
It's dark.
But I knew that it was bad because my wife, Ashley, is obsessed. I don't know if Kendra is, but Ashley's obsessed with like murder documentaries. She listens to podcasts.
No, Kendra is not really into it. Honestly, okay. I'm more into like true crimes. And I'm not super into true crime stuff, but some of them I find really catch my fancy.
Ashley listens to a podcast that's all about these just murderers, just serial killers, murders. So when I was like, I'm going to watch this documentary, Ashley was like, I'm good. No thanks. I don't want to watch that.
She already knows the story of that. I mean, he's
not even that she knew the story, but
because all serial killers are dark. They're evil, obviously. You know, it's something. There's just something broken inside of them. But he was depraved,
right? Well, and that's what Ashley's reasoning was basically. Like he was too sick for her to watch a documentary about. Like, and so when that's the case, and she tells me about all these serial killers that she listened to, or not to, but about. And I'm thinking, oh, so that one you don't want to revisit. That's pretty bad. Like, I imagine that it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so on a scale of swiping right or swiping left, how would you rate the Tinder Swindler?
Oh, I'm swiping right on the Tinder Swindler.
Yeah, I think I'd swipe right on the Tinder Swindler as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, def swipe right.
It's a fun ride. It's fun ride. I like they really twist your emotions. I like documentaries that help you get into the head of the person the documentary is about. Sure. Like in this case, like the victim. You know what I mean? They really did a lot of showing you exactly how he made this girl fall in love with him. Yeah. How he kind of and I like that. Because you know it's going to be bad. You know it's all bullshit. Right. But you're along for the ride and you kind of forget and you're like, oh, he is so sweet. I love you, baby. Yeah. I see you. Good morning. Well, good morning, my baby. And you're like, oh, man, what a sweet guy. Yeah. I'm in love with him.
I think that's important, too, to show that. Because if they didn't show that side of it, like if they didn't show it from her point of view, then so many, and this already happened. Like she already had people saying that she was like such a dumb idiot and how would she fall for this type of thing. Yeah. But you get it. Like you understand. And I think that it's good that they took the time to do that. So that she didn't seem dumb. They were very careful to not be like, look at this dumb bitch. Yeah. Right. Or at least put it in that kind of mindset or put it in a way that we as the viewer wouldn't receive it that way.
Yeah. Kind of had they did it more like fact based and kind of with like a narrator saying, okay, here's what happened. I think it comes off less sympathetic than having that person tell their story.
Yeah, I think it was effective.
Very well done. Yeah. It really makes you feel for these people.
Well, so since we're on the topic of Netflix, I have a recommendation for you.
Okay, what am I getting into?
Well, so Netflix has a series called Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Have you read the comic?
I have not read the comic. No.
Good, because I wasn't going to recommend Netflix's Jupiter's Legacy, because that movie or that show is hot garbage.
Okay, good. You said it, I was like, oh, I've seen it. And I was really concerned that you were like, it's my favorite one. And I'm like,
no,
I didn't care for it. I mean, I liked the concept, but it's kind of been done better by The Boys and Invincible on Amazon.
Sure. It was based off of a short series written by Mark Millar. And the collection is amazing. The story is amazing. The series got canceled on Netflix after one season.
Yeah, I believe it.
And honestly, it didn't need to be longer than one season. The whole story didn't need to be longer than one season.
Yeah.
Maybe
two.
They
left it on a cliffhanger too, didn't they?
Yeah. So, like, what they did with the show was not good. I love the book. So I'm recommending the collection, the graphic novel, if you will.
Right on.
Written by Frank Miller. Not Frank Miller, Mark Millar. The artwork is great. The content is very mature as far as, like, it's not geared towards kids at all. I grew up with comic books. I grew up with Marvel and DC. Loved them. And I really hate Marvel and DC comics now. Like, hate's a strong word, but they just don't interest me anymore.
Yeah. Well, we all grow and tastes change and stuff.
I found out that what it is, you ever watch, like, did you watch all of Supernatural?
No.
Did you watch any of Supernatural?
I've seen a good bit of it.
Okay. Why'd you quit watching it?
Kendra loves Supernatural.
Yeah.
I was never super into it. So the only reason I've even seen episodes from it is because Kendra will have it on.
Okay.
So and it's fine. I mean, what I've seen I enjoy, but I don't like that style of. I don't like episodic.
Okay.
Like TNT shows, except like Burn Notice and Psych.
Yeah. So,
but they're more kind of funny, and
right.
Also supernatural stuff just doesn't really interest me.
So the reason that I bring it up is because I really liked Supernatural up until season 4. Season 4, I think, is peak Supernatural. After that, it totally lost my interest.
Like 15 seasons?
Something like that, yeah. And that's my point. I hate things that don't end. I like stories to be concise. I hate them to drag on. And with comic books, you can only do so much, and then you have to reboot the entire universe that these characters live in. Because Batman was made in, I think, the 1940s. I think Superman was like 1937 or 1935, and Batman was, I think, early 40s. But even if I'm wrong and it's the 1950s, that's 70 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, you can only do so much with a character. Imagine a TV show lasting 70 years. Like, how good is The Simpsons anymore?
I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen The Simpsons in years.
So anyway, I have just grown tired and weary of the ever-changing but never-changing.
Never-ending stories, just rehashing the same character and different. Yeah, no, I get that.
I've grown tired of it. So because of that, I've really dove deep into more indie comics, more IDW type of stuff where they'll publish something and it'll have like 20 issues and then it's done. Or back when DC would do something like The Watchmen that was self-contained, it had a beginning, had an end. That's the type of stories that I like. And that's what this is. And the TV show for Jupiter's Legacy tried to extend it. They tried to kind of extrapolate on what it was.
Okay.
When I give you the binding, it's like not an inch thick of a book. It's like a quarter of an inch.
Oh, nice.
All right. It's not a very long read, but it's solid. It's just really, really good.
One of the things Netflix has done a lot of that I really enjoy, and I think a lot of shows, like the streaming services primarily and stuff, is start releasing stories that they know are only going to be 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Have you seen Hemlock Grove on Netflix?
Yeah.
I love that.
Right. And that was only like 3 seasons,
it's 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And even the 3rd season, I'm like, it gets a little bit long, but they're telling a complete story. You know, they set out with a beginning, they set out with an end, and they know we're going to do it in a few seasons. Because I'm the same way. I don't like...
Like, it just goes on and on and on and on and
exactly.
on. It just seems... I don't know.
I love The Office. I've seen it so many times.
Agreed.
It's such a rewatchable show.
Yeah.
But it's about 2 seasons too long.
Yeah.
And that was the... just kind of like the standard MO for television and TV shows for so long. If it's successful,
keep it going.
Just keep doing it.
Well, it's such an anomaly.
Same with like Dexter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dexter didn't need to last 8 seasons.
It didn't. And I'm in the minority of like, I liked the way Dexter ended.
I feel like it had to end that way, personally.
Yeah, me too. The only thing I didn't like is when just how long. They could have gotten there. They could have did the same thing. But that has just been the standard of like, as long as it's popular,
we'll keep it going.
Making seasons. Just keep making seasons.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm the same way. I like to have an end.
Okay. Well, how much of Jupiter's Legacy did you watch? Like of the Netflix
We watched
series?
the whole series.
Okay. Cool.
I don't remember anything of it except for the one girl has like she's a superhero with a drug problem. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I was like, that's pretty cool.
All right.
And I liked the lady who played the mom.
Okay.
I don't know what the actress's name is, but
yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
As an actress, I like what she...
Okay, cool. So then
I really remember very little about it.
So then we'll read Jupiter's Legacy and then see if that brings up any memories of the show, because I was thoroughly disappointed in the show. And I remember I didn't finish it because I was on episode like 4 and it got canceled.
Yeah. No, I remember because there's like an uncle, right?
Yeah.
And you end up at the end of... They ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
He's in like a wheelchair, maybe? He had mind powers or...
He did have mind powers.
Okay, yeah, he has mind powers.
Yep.
I was like... All I remember is like the very last episode, they leave it on a cliffhanger that he's actually a bad guy.
Gotcha.
As far as the context of it, how it happens... I don't remember. I don't remember Jack.
Yeah, so it's basically about this family who goes and explores and they like get these superpowers, and that happened way in the past. And now that family is old. It's a bunch of old heads now, and now their kids are kind of coming up into the superhero world, and it has to deal with that core family. I forget what off the top of my head. It was Ultraman. That's what his name was, I think. Or maybe that's just... I think that's actually the Syndicate's name for Superman. Like the evil Superman. I forget. Whatever. The dad.
Yeah.
He's
Superman.
Yeah, the Superman
yeah.
Analog. He's really tough on his kids because he is very much... like, we have these powers, we have a responsibility. We are
the classic do-gooder.
Yeah, we are called to a higher purpose, and you need to fit that purpose. Like, you need to answer the call because you have these abilities. So he's a tough dad. But I'm telling you, the story's great.
Cool.
Absolutely
yeah,
great.
I'm into it.
Okay. I've got one small thing that I want to ask you. How do you feel about human-monkey people, like, mashed up? Because scientists are creating human monkey embryos in an experiment to make soldiers.
I love it. I mean, it sounds... Isn't that just the plot of Planet of the Apes? They're like, so. They watched it and they're like, yeah, that's good. We can do it right. We can do it, Pat. We can do it right. Yeah, no, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting thing from the New York Post. Scientists create first human monkey embryo in controversial experiment. Yeah,
I could see that being controversial.
Yeah. They say that they're doing it so that they can understand cell communication at conception. But yeah, that's something cool. I wanted you to think about. Was man-monkey chimera experiments.
Dude, I love it.
Used for war.
Because we're at the end of evolution. We're doing the opposite of evolving at this point. You know what I mean? We're at the end of however we're supposed to progress. So yeah, it's time. Let's make some human monkey hybrids. Let them have the world. I'll be dead. I don't care. You can have the world, human monkey people.
Do you think that they...
Yeah, and maybe they'll actually follow through with nuclear disarmament. Probably not. Probably not, because they still got a human in them.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
So
maybe they'll do a better job, because the human race doesn't really have a great track record.
I envision a war between the human monkey chimeras and the Elon Musk cyber people, the microchip people. That's what I think our future is going to be. It's going to be a good, like, the Borg versus our human monkey chimera armies.
I can see that. Yeah.
On Mars, probably. Probably. If Elon Musk has anything to say about it. All right, dude. It's been a good episode.
Yes,
we're a little long in the tooth. We're at 124.
Okay. Wow.
But, yeah. Crew, join us in our next episode when we talk about Jupiter's Legacy, the trade collection, not the Netflix series.
Not that hot garbage of a show.
Yeah, if you would like to watch the Netflix series so that you can understand why the book is so much better, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
But, or you could just take our word for it, because I can tell you it's better. So... Save yourself the 10 hours.
At your own risk, watch the TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Micah.
I'm Thor.
And get wrecked.
Stay wrecked out there, folks.